It's John Pollock here alongside John Ramdeen, and coming up this Saturday, the UFC returns to Denver, Colorado, which you know we're going to get at least one of those fights, John, where it's guys that underestimated what elevation is. And I always look forward to at least one of those fights. Go back, UFC 135, a great night of those examples. But looking at the undercard, we haven't really chatted this week about some of the undercard fights. Maybe the most interesting one, and this you could put up against any of the main card fights in terms of relevancy to their weight class and overall interest for myself, is Aljamain Sterling, as he'll be back and looking to come off the first loss of his career. He was supposed to fight in Albany in December, but that got scratched. So a difficult obstacle for him, I feel, on Saturday night.
What's interesting right now at 135 pounds, I think if you've been consuming the sport, consuming the UFC, everybody knows the big players, the new champion, Cody Garbrandt, the former champion, Dominic Cruz, and TJ Dillashaw. Dominic Cruz, it looks like he's going to have to wait before he gets it right. It's going to be TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt doing the reality show. So we understand where the top three guys is, where they are in the division. What we look at now is who's the number 4 guy. Is that Brian Caraway? Is that Assuncao? Is Thomas Almeida? Is he ready to get another crack? Aljamain Sterling, this is a huge opportunity. So all these guys in the number 4 to number 10 are really fighting for their spot, because all it takes is an injury, and then somebody has a chance to fight for the UFC championship if Dominic Cruz isn't ready.
Yeah, so Rafael Assuncao, he had won 7 straight and then fought at UFC 200 against TJ Dillashaw, a man who he had a victory over. TJ Dillashaw avenged that loss. So both guys here coming off of difficult losses in a division where you can't afford those. It's very important for both in this. And with Aljamain Sterling as well, I mean, this was someone that up until that Brian Caraway fight, we were discussing like this guy is going to be a title contender at bantamweight. And I think really did a disservice to Brian Caraway, who
most people do
quietly beat a really thriving prospect in Aljamain Sterling. So looking at this particular fight, I don't know if you just base it here on Aljamain Sterling's wrestling, that could be enough of a difference maker against Assuncao. Assuncao is a very difficult fighter.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a whole mixed martial arts fight. Yeah, Aljamain might try to take Assuncao down. Assuncao's going to make it very, very difficult for him to try to get the fight down to the ground. And if he does get the fight to the ground, he's going to look to sweep, to stand back up, or he's going to attack. Because of Aljo's background, working with Matt Serra and all those guys, he's going to be able to defend. So it comes down to fitness level and intensity and what type of fight will we see Sterling really put it on Assuncao. Because again, when you look at that fight, as you pointed out, if Assuncao can look good and he can take out a prospect like Aljamain Sterling, especially if he can finish him, you get another crack at either TJ Dillashaw, because you have the story now, one apiece, you have the rubber match, or you can crack at Dominic Cruz, and if you can get a crack at Dominic Cruz, beat Dominic Cruz, you're in line. But right now, the stories at 135 pounds, very interesting.
And we could definitely see an option here, just given the fact that it's going to be a long wait until Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw fight, that the winner of this fight...
Title.
Oh, gosh, I don't want to even go there. But, I mean, Dominic Cruz, depending on when he's ready to return, he could be fighting the winner of this fight. That's a potential fight down the road for either of these guys. So whoever wins this fight is going to be in line for one of those key names at 135 pounds, in my opinion. Also, we're going to see the return of Nate Marquardt, who over his last 3 fights has just lived and died on knockouts. He's taking on Sam Alvey, who's won his last 3 fights as well. And with Nate Marquardt, this is a guy that trains in Colorado year-round, and someone that I feel has had a bit of a resurgence here in the UFC when it looked like his days were numbered.
Yeah, I'm going to have a chance later today to talk to Nate Marquardt. I've talked to him before. The guy is he's a martial artist. He's been in this game for such a long time, really cutting his teeth in Japan, learning the art of fighting and just what it means to be a mixed martial arts fighter and to learn everything about yourself inside of the ring, and just his level of experience. But the game is changing. It's a young man's game. Does Sam Alvey have the new tools, the new technology? It seems like Sam Alvey wants to, if you can get a name like Nate Marquardt on your resume, to have a win over a guy like that. I'm very excited about this fight because Sam Alvey clearly understands what's standing in front of him and Nate Marquardt, and he's going to probably be the best prepared he's been in quite some time, because Nate Marquardt, in my opinion, is one of those perfect martial artists. He's always calm. He's dangerous everywhere. Again, he's just been in the game for a long time, and he has a ton of miles, and that's just one of those factors that you can't ignore.
Those are two of the fights that are coming up this Saturday night in Denver, and throughout the week we will be taking a look at the main card happening on Saturday night.